The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys? Yeah! Go Cowboys! Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on the break!
With Nick Eatman, David Hellman, Ambar Garcia, and Derek Eagleton.
Well, that is not the lineup here today for The Break, but that's okay. I'm Nick Eatman, David Hellman. Isaiah Stanback is filling in with us today as he skates his way in from the ice here. Dave looks like he's ready to go.
It's cold outside.
You thought the Olympics was over. No, we got skiing, skating going on. We don't talk weather on this show, but yeah, definitely weather is happening here in North Texas. And when that happens, everyone freaks out. But it's all right.
If you were in the Winter Olympics, what event would you do?
Zero. I mean, like, I was just telling someone this the other day. This sounds like a setup, but it's not. I was like, I don't relate to this because I have done zero things in the Olympics. I mean, everybody has shot a basket, run, maybe thrown a javelin, done a high jump, done something.
Something of the nature.
No one, I have never done anything.
Nothing.
In the Winter Olympics. Not one thing.
I've gone ice skating like maybe twice, and when I say ice skating, I really mean just sort of like dancing around, trying not to fall.
Like in the mall, I think at the gallery or something.
What's the name of the one sport? What's the name?
Curling? Oh, I could do that.
I want to do curling.
I want to try it. No, I wouldn't be good at it.
It's like corn. It's like playing cornhole on ice.
Yeah.
But you get to play a little defense and all that.
Same thing.
It's the only. It's got to be the only Olympic sport where it's normal to drink while you play it. Like that's a thing.
Did you see some of those guys?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They look like they came straight from the bar.
I could do that. I'd like there to be like a curling lodge here in Dallas. I would go.
I would definitely go. I'll join you.
That's why I don't really relate well to it because it's like, oh, I could do that. I couldn't. No? I mean, I could lie on my back and slide down ice, but I would probably fall off or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know what your score would be on that.
It probably would be good. So, all right, let's talk about really what I was going to say. This is what we do on our show. I joined your show the other day. Y'all were doing like chips and dips and all this kind of crazy stuff. What we do on this show, and we sort of already we go around really quickly. What's a sports story? Doesn't have to be Cowboys. Doesn't have to be NFL. It could be anything that's kind of on your mind right now. I'll start with you, Dave, and get you a chance to think about it. You got anything?
I'm bummed that Derek's not here because from the time we were arguing about it on Twitter, I was like, oh, I'm going to take this to the show because I wanted to argue with him about the college football playoff.
Him and I seem to be on the same side.
It's true. We can argue about it if you want to. The committee announced over the weekend that they're not going to expand the college football playoff until 2026 at the earliest. And I want to be clear, I'm fine with a bigger playoff. Like, more football is fun for everybody. I just don't. I think it's completely unnecessary. Mm-hmm. I think we've learned over the last 7 years that in any given year, there's like 3 teams that are good enough to win the national title, sometimes 4. But beyond that, everybody else is just on a different level, and I don't see why we need a bigger field to prove that.
Yeah, I hear that.
Do you agree?
I do.
You played college football. You tell me.
Yeah, the times have changed. The times have changed so much. But I agree with you. I think you pretty much know who the top dogs are, and I don't think that you need to necessarily add to that.
I just think we're setting ourselves up for more ass whippings, basically. I mean, it's like, okay, cool. 9-3, Iowa State gets in as like the 12 seed, and maybe you play like a great game in the first round against the 4 seed or whatever, and then you get your ass kicked. It's like, okay, I guess this was more dramatic for the teams that made it in until they had to play the elite teams. I just don't see why it's necessary.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing how the whole transfer portal and players getting paid now and all these contracts, how that's going to really affect the competition this year.
Yeah,
that's going to be interesting.
It's going to be. I think it's going to still be the same because the teams that are good are the big schools that have the money, and they're the ones that are going to pay the most, probably. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I argued with you a little bit on Twitter. I don't even think it's about the playoffs. I think it's about the month ahead of time. I've heard people say it waters down if you make more teams. It waters down the regular season, which I just disagree. I think it makes it more compelling November games. I think you've got number 17 versus number 14. Now they're playing for something as opposed to maybe some trophy or something like that, like on that Thanksgiving weekend. I actually did the math a little bit on this, and which it doesn't happen a lot, but I did some math. And I just think it's weird that in the NBA, 66% of the teams make the playoffs. In Major League Baseball, I think 30% make the playoffs. In the NFL, 43%. In hockey, I think it's 55%. In college basketball, I haven't done the math, 68 versus 330 something. But college football is 0.03% make the playoffs. And I just think, I don't think these other regular seasons are that bad. And the NBA is like whatever, but 66% make it. But in the NFL, 43% of the teams make it, and it's still a pretty good regular season. So I just think there's room if it's 0.03% of the college teams.
You can increase that. Oh, yeah.
I hear you, and you're right. I think you would probably make November a little bit more dramatic, but if I guess that's my point. Is it feels gimmicky. Like if number 17's playing number 14 for the right to get into the playoffs and get mauled. Just get destroyed by the teams that actually belong there.
The reason why it's not happening and they're delaying it is they haven't figured out what to do with their precious bowl games.
Yeah,
that's the thing. These old guys want to see the bowl games, and what happens? What do you do with all these bowl games? And I think that's the biggest
70% of these bowl games have to be losing money.
Yeah.
They have to be losing money.
Yeah.
No disrespect to any of the bowl games. I know there's a lot of people, a lot of money behind these things, but some of the ones that are even here in Dallas,
you don't go.
They're giving tickets away.
Yeah, you don't go if you live in the area. You know, if you live in Birmingham and maybe that's the Music City Bowl or something. I don't think you just go just because Minnesota is taking on South Carolina. Yeah. I don't think you go.
I will. That is. I think the one benefit of expanding the playoffs is it would create more meaningful games, which keeps teams invested instead of it's like, oh, we lost that third game, so I'm sitting out to start training for the draft, which I support anybody that wants to do that. But, I would be in favor.
Thank you.
I'm in favor of more games, I guess, where people want to play. And if that gets it done, that's fine. And, again, I'm not anti-expansion. I just... Again, we've done 7 of these, I think, at this point, and the semifinals have been laughable most of those years. There have probably been 3 really great semifinals. OU and Georgia played a classic one year. Obviously, Ohio State won the first one as a 4 seed. So, I get it, but by and large, like I said, there's 2, sometimes 3 teams, and it's always been that way, by the way. That was the problem with the BCS is every few years there would be a third team that gets screwed. But from what we've seen to this point, I don't think we're seeing anybody get screwed. There is not a team in the playoff era where I'm just they might have won if you'd let them in. No, the right team won this thing. That's just how I feel.
All right. Let's talk Cowboys because that's kind of what we do here.
All I can think, which I like bantering about other things, and I know there are people that like it, but whenever we go off into the weeds, I just picture the guy that's just screaming at his car stereo, talk about the Cowboys.
But yet, when it comes to Twitter, I've never gotten anybody say, y'all don't talk about that. I get more people that say, I agree about this, or I agree with Dave, or whatever.
Sure.
So,
I know.
Everyone's got their thing.
Press this. You can skip ahead 15 seconds. Just skip to the 8th minute of the show if you don't like it.
All right. I'm going to kind of reset things because when we have people on here that are different, you want to see what they think about big news, big stuff. So before we get going on all these other free agents, Dave and I we don't agree on everything, but we have been.
We've been agreeing a lot more recently.
But we definitely stand on the table agree on this one.
Okay.
And I want to see where you stand.
All ears.
Amari Cooper. Mm-hmm. What is your take on him and his future? What would you do if you were playing Cowboys GM?
Cowboys GM, keep him. Keep him because you have a hell of a player that you're choosing to not utilize. It's not that he's getting paid all this money and all of a sudden, I don't know if he's really worth it anymore. No, the conversation is we're not using him to the amount that we're paying him. So now people are like, let's get rid of him. No, that's a you problem.
Yeah.
That's a coordinator problem. That's a team problem. Figure that out. Get him the ball because These other teams are getting their guy the ball, right? Amari is Dallas's receiver. Yes, that's their
supposedly
stat-wise not number one. Right? Not this year. That was CD, right? But supposedly that's your number one. Capability-wise, that's your number one. And for the most part, health-wise, he's still in position to be your number one, right? So there's nothing that's stopping him from being your number one.
All right, break it down. You've played receiver and quarterback in this position.
Yes.
Is it Amari Cooper? Is it you'll laugh if you knew the quarterback I almost named. Is it Dak? Is it Kellen Moore? Why is Devontae Adams getting these targets and Cooper Kupp and why? But break it down. Why?
I've been standing on the table and saying Kellen Moore. That's been me. The reason being because you can scheme your way to get your guy the ball. Think about the time. Well, I don't remember what week it was, maybe 14 or something like that, where Amari Cooper, who's a very docile, kind of quiet guy, goes about his business.
It was the week of Christmas,
right? And he was tired of it. Yeah. He was pissed. That was his way of yelling. That was his. That was his. Odell Beckham yelling, T.O. Who else you really want to throw in that category? That was his version of it, right? Instead of going out there and becoming front page news, he was just like, I can't throw it and catch it.
Yeah.
That's him yelling. That's him. That's him pissed off, right? Because normally he keeps those things bottled up. Sure. So what happened that next week?
He got like 10 or 11 targets.
Dude, he got like 6 catches on the first drive.
Yeah.
Right? He got all those targets on the first drive alone. So they force-fed him the ball. So why is it that you can get him involved when he speaks out, but any other time, it's just, we kind of have to go with what the defense gives us. We got to spread the ball around. We don't force-feed people. Like, there's no excuse because to your point, as you start naming these other number one receivers, they all don't have a problem getting the ball. When you look at the Super Bowl, the last drive, who's going to get the ball?
Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp. Can you stop it? Nope.
No.
Eli could not.
Nope.
Sure couldn't. I haven't looked at this, which I knew it would be low, but I hadn't looked it up specifically. Amari Cooper ranked 38th in targets among NFL pass catchers. That includes tight ends. But and again, for the money, you're like, for the money, you're supposed to do this, that, and the other. A few of the guys at the top of the list, obviously DeAndre Hopkins missed a lot of the season. Julio Jones is in and out of the lineup all the time. But Keenan Allen finished in the top 20 in targets. Tyreek Hill finished 7th in targets. Tyler Lockett finished way above him in targets. Mike Evans, all these guys are getting dozens more opportunities at the ball than Amari Cooper did last year.
So where is CeeDee Lamb in that list?
CeeDee Lamb is above Amari, actually.
Okay, that's what I want to know.
CeeDee Lamb finished 24th in the league in targets, 120 of them.
And I guarantee you that Kelsey and Tyreek Hill are probably in there. But I want to know how many teammates are in the top 40.
Good question.
Because Devontae Adams' next guy in the Green Bay is not in there.
So I see Kelsey and Hill are in there. I see Marquise Brown and Mark Andrews are both in the top 10, which is amazing.
Okay.
Stephon Diggs and Cole Beasley.
So there's a good amount.
Yeah, they're there.
Especially when you take into the context
that was the only 2 receivers that I heard. I heard tight end receivers. I didn't hear receivers.
But you also take into context that Dak was leading the league in passing yards, right? Mm-hmm. And Dallas was total offense, all that jazz. Mm-hmm. So there's no excuse. I hear what you're saying, but there's no excuse for him not to get the ball. There's been no conversations about Amari's not getting open. Amari's slow. He's lost his step. His route runnings fell off. You haven't heard any negative connotations in regards to his abilities.
Yeah.
But it's all coming back to what? Targets.
Evans and Godwin both finished in the top 30 as well, as did Jamar Chase finished top. Jamar Chase finished 20 and T. Higgins was 31. So,
So it happens.
It's doable.
It happens. Okay.
It's doable.
And that's, and I agree. I think it always comes down to kind of this sense of arrogance of we do what we do and stop us because if you want to take him away, I'll just throw it to Cedric Wilson. And sometimes that works, but I think there's got to be this balance. And we all were here, or we definitely know that when Dak was younger and then another wide receiver was chirping all the time about wanting the ball, and then the next week they would just throw Dez the ball, and that didn't always work out. So I'm not saying this is the same. No, it's just there's a middle balance of
there is,
and that's what they haven't figured out just yet.
But if you take out all the receivers you just named, right? The number one receivers. If you take them out of it and just don't target them, pretty much like Dallas doesn't really target Amari, how successful are those teams?
I'm sure they're not that.
I would assume not. Yeah.
Not.
Well,
Right?
to argue against myself, which I love to do.
Nobody makes me bleed my own blood.
Right. Right. Nice reference there. I mean, that'd be one thing if Amari didn't get the ball against the 49ers, but CD got 14 targets. But he got like 1 or 2 himself.
CD disappeared from that game. CD didn't get targeted until like the third quarter.
And they weren't running.
No, they weren't doing anything.
What were they doing?
They were
Losing.
And that's why I always lean back and say, Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore, you're in position to get your resources, your guys, the ball. That is your job. Now, underneath Kellen Moore is Dak, right? Dak. Now, from the guidance in the direction that you're given by your offensive coordinator, is now your job to now facilitate and ensure that these guys get the ball based around whatever the defense is allowing you to take advantage of. So it is a Kellen Moore and Dak Prescott thing. It can't just be a Dak Prescott thing. This is not Cleveland and Baker Mayfield just hating on Odell Beckham. That's not that situation, right? This is, your coordinator is just simply saying, we'll get it to other guys. We're not going to force feed it. But in reality, we're seeing you need to get Coop the ball.
I'm going to put you on the spot.
Go ahead.
Can Dak make all the throws?
No.
Which throw can he make?
Dak's velocity, I've been saying this for the last year and a half. And even when Andy, 2 years almost, when Andy Dalton got signed, I stood up and said Andy Dalton has a better arm than Dak. And people lost it. Oh, you got to be kidding me. I'm talking about velocity.
Velocity, yeah.
I'm talking about velocity. And people went crazy at me.
Dak's not Mahomes or Stafford.
Not at all.
But which is it, the 15-yard out or what?
It's surprisingly, if you go back and watch the film, it's not even just one particular route. If you watch his curls that he's throwing, the ball is dying out. The ball should go through the target. It should be on such a rope that if that receiver wasn't there, it should go all the way through the doggone sideline. Right, but instead you're seeing the balls even on swing routes, screen routes, the ball's dying out. The nose of the ball is literally diving towards the ground, and it's on so many of his throws. This was before the shoulder injury. This is after the shoulder injury. People could point their finger and say, "Oh, well, he had this injury." It has nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
He has to increase his velocity, whether that be in core strength, whether that be in his legs, whether that be in his arm. There's a whole lot of things that go into increasing velocity, but he has to work on that, and it's just not there.
Well, can you work on that at this?
Absolutely.
At this age, at this point in his career,
Absolutely.
It almost seems like you have it or you don't.
No, absolutely. No, you can work on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that might be part of it. That's your opinion. I bet you not everyone says that, and if they do, they don't say it loudly. So that could be a part of it too. The play is for Amari Cooper to do this. You go to the line of scrimmage, you see, okay, the coverage is going to be a little different. So to get him the ball, it's going to be a different throw. I'm going Schultz.
But again, it goes back to Kellen Moore. If you're going to keep putting – what was the issue when T.O. was here, right? I was on the roster. T.O. was on the outside. You roll to a certain coverage. All of a sudden, you either have to throw an amazing ball into a honey hole or you just don't throw him the ball. Yeah. Right? And then who got the ball? Witt, right? Dump it off the Witt because he's inside all day. If that's the situation that you're facing, wouldn't you as an offensive coordinator then move Amari Cooper to the inside?
Yeah.
You would think.
But they were drawing plays up in the dirt back then, right? Like that was the okay.
Probably.
All right.
Fittingly for that point, Dalton Schultz finished with as many targets as Amari Cooper did.
Yeah. So they had 3 in the top 40.
Yeah.
Okay. Do that. See who. No.
Live on the air.
Okay. No. We're about to take a break here. But we're going to play a game of dominoes, really. Okay. And then I think that's the Amari Cooper decision is what starts it. And then it'll just got to go from there in terms of free agency because that's what has to happen. You got to figure out, you got to prioritize what you're going to do. And then that kind of goes from there. All right, we're going to take our first break. We'll be right back here to talk about some dominoes when we come back.
At AT&T, everyone, new and existing customers, get our best deals on every smartphone. Why? Because you deserve it. For turning your living room into your office and your gym. For teaching Grandma how to video call. And teaching her again.
It's the button on your left, Nana. Okay, your other left.
It's not complicated. Everyone deserves something new. So AT&T is giving everyone, new and existing customers, our best deals with every unlimited plan on every smartphone, even the latest ones.
AT&T may temporarily slow data speeds if the network is busy. Restrictions and exceptions may apply. Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. Where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day. Where we are all defined by one single thing, the star. Where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys and to support the quest of living life the Cowboys way.
Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at stetson.com/cowboys.
Back to the break.
All right, you could be watching from home or cheering in the stands. With Essilor lenses, you'll see every exciting play. Book an appointment at your local Essilor exports and find the perfect Essilor lens for you. See more, do more, Essilor.
Sorry, I had to sneak that in there.
What?
It's an Essilor read. I got excited. I love Essilor.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't see any glasses on you.
I love the.
Car. There's no sun
They're
out
in
today.
the car. Oh, okay. Cool.
There is no sun out there.
All right. What were you about to say?
Oh, I love the quirks that each show brings to the table.
Yeah.
I got to do a show with Isaiah like maybe a month ago, right after the season ended, and I was like, oh damn, all right, the energy level is way different in here right now. Like we're just kind of. I described us as the grumpy show one time. We're not grumpy. I just think we're like we're almost like stoic. Thank God for AG because she gets revved up sometimes and raises the energy level a little bit. But like talking Cowboys, like I don't know if I could keep up. Especially y'all go at like 9 a.m. I'm just like, dude, let me finish my coffee. Like
I
y'all
felt
are a
like
lot.
I was at a Texas A&M football game.
Yeah.
Where all these things are happening that you don't know. You
Right.
know, all of a sudden in the middle of the game, it's just like, wow. And you're like, what was that? And they're like, that's what we do on 3rd and 6. I'm like, wow.
You need
okay.
a bachelor's degree to keep up with everything.
So, no, it's fine. All right. We were talking to Amari Cooper,
Okay.
and we said that to me, and I don't know if that's what the Cowboys think. I think it is. I think it's the first domino that you have to start. You have to figure out what you're going to do with
I think the
him.
whole conversation for this team in 2022 starts with him.
And I know that they look at this globally across the team and probably the bigger contracts, and so next on their priority list might be the defensive ends. But let's stick to offense for a second because we all agree that Amari Cooper should be here. If that is the case and they decide to keep him, what do you do with Dalton Schultz?
You gotta go.
Bye.
I think Dalton Schultz is, and we talked about this like I think probably last week. It sounds glib. Like I don't want to. Like I think Dalton Schultz is a really good player. I think he's deserving of the payday that's coming his way. Not just like, oh, he's not good. He doesn't have a future here. It's just like that's the reality of team building. And like Dalton Schultz is perfect. Like he came on strong halfway through his contract, gave you 2 fantastic years. He's going to get you at least a 4th round comp, maybe a 3rd, depending on how much money he gets on the open market. And you just say, thanks, man. We will replace that production in a cheaper way. We already have Blake Jarwin under contract for less money. Thank you for your service. Go get the bag.
If Amari Cooper is not a part of this team and you're saving some money there, does that change your opinion one way or another?
On what?
On Schultz. Because
no.
I don't think I think Schultz will be less effective.
Yeah, I mean, what does Schultz do that much better than Jarwin?
I'm not sure. I guess the one thing I can count on is, Dalton Schultz is more durable.
I mean,
Jarwin
had the big boy injury.
He's had 2 big boy injuries. I mean, he got hurt on Halloween and wasn't back until the end of the season. I mean, he missed half of this year.
And I mean, maybe I'm probably the wrong person to talk about it because I had my fair share of injuries, but you can't prevent those things, right? So, I want to
be. I hate criticizing a guy for getting hurt.
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, but I mean, like, if it was up to Jarwin, obviously he'll be on the field. So I mean, but production wise, when they are on the field, I don't see what Schultz does that much better than Jarwin. I think Jarwin's a more capable individual. Where I think Schultz took advantage was when Jarwin went down. Schultz put out a ton of effort, right? He wasn't the best. He was not a great blocker.
No.
But he put forth a ton of effort at it, right? And then the second half of the season, that disappeared somehow, some way. He didn't have that same energy towards blocking, and he was less effective in that regard. Now, in terms of running 5-6 yards, turning around, catch a ball that's put on the right position, all right, cool. Jarwin could do that too.
I've never liked the idea of having both of them, and definitely not having both of them at that price. I just think they're the same guy in terms of more of a pass catcher, kind of light in the ass about when it comes to blocking.
Yep.
They'll get in the way and do it, but that's not. I just think you got to have one of them and then another bigger blocker type.
I think they're the exact same player, more or less. Not.
I'd rather have Blake Bell as the second guy. And
he's available.
He's available. Is he under contract? Sorry.
No, he's not under contract.
That type of guy.
I think you need to go add that guy. I think you need to add that guy. Whether Linda Wells is developing that guy right now on the roster. I don't know, but I do know that if I had to choose between those two, I'm going with Jarwin because Jarwin gives you more opportunities with his abilities and his attributes.
I know they love Sean McCune, and I've been impressed by what he's done.
Same guy, right?
No, I was about to say, I think he's very similar to the other two.
Yeah.
It sucks because, too bad Nate Newton's not here. He'll be like the first person to start pounding the desk and saying they need a blocking tight end. Those guys are getting harder and harder to find.
There's not that many Mercedes Lewis's around.
You just colleges don't ask tight ends to do that.
Yeah,
and so. Shoot, at this rate, if you're that size and that good at blocking, probably play tackle.
You're playing tackle.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. Yeah.
So it's easier said than done, but yeah, I mean they need a bigger body who is more capable at blocking. But I think Jarwin can do all the stuff. But
even
Schultz
with that,
does.
I'm not even sure how much they would be utilizing this offense.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many two tight end sets we would actually utilize.
They
you know
love
like,
them. They love them some 12 personnel.
Yeah,
I think they would use it. It might be boring. They use it to run. Just give me a big hey, can you block and just run and out? Those are the two things I need you to do. Yeah,
just run to the side.
Block or run to the flat.
All right, so we're playing the GM role here, and I think we're all together on this. So we started with Amari, and because of that, we probably are going to let Dalton Schultz do his thing and. I think it's going to be a DeMarco Murray type situation of this is the number we have for you. I'm sorry if this insults you, but this is what we have. And if the Jets or whatever or some other team doubles it or whatever, hey, man, it's been fun.
And I think
we'd love for you to come back, but
I think the number that eventually pops up when Adam Schefter breaks his signing is going to make everybody go, whoa. It reminds me of Robert Quinn.
Yeah.
We spent months talking about love to have him back at the right price. He's on the wrong side of 30. Maybe kind of keep the price down. He wasn't great against the run. Maybe they can bring him back on a $30 million deal. And then the Bears were like, we'll give you 80.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, okay, Rob, go get it, buddy.
And he did.
We can't offer you that.
And he did.
And
he set the Bears single season.
He freaking killed it last year. Yeah.
That was the quietest great season.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that happens now. Now we're going to switch to we got some decisions to make. Defensive end. It's like I wrote this yesterday. It's kind of like a chicken and egg type thing. Do you figure out what you want to do with Randy, and then that decides what you do with Tank, or do you figure out what you're doing with Tank, and that decides what you're going to do with Randy, or do you try to keep them both?
I think they inform each other. I think those two things are connected because of the money it requires to sign a pass rusher. Even with the shared history that Randy and the front office have. Maybe Randy's willing to sign here on a favorable deal, but it's still going to be expensive. Yeah. You're still talking about north of $12 million a year to sign him.
Right. Yeah, that's fine because Tank is making what, 20?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
Give me the 12. give me the 12.
In a perfect world, I think, in a world where you can just do what you want, I think the Cowboys approach DeMarcus and his people next week at the Combine and say, we would love to slash you down to like 16, and then that'll help us keep Randy, and you still got plenty of money, and wouldn't it be great to just have the band back together? And in a real world,
he'll say,
Tank's people will be like, LOL, bro.
Right, but they can laugh like that and say, we're not doing that.
To the market decides for
until you get cut,
Yep.
and then you go and you probably make less than that.
Yeah.
Somewhere where you may be paying taxes.
It's a pride thing, though, I think, for a lot of those guys.
It is.
The Le'Veon Bell?
It is. DeMarcus is tricky because it looks like he's injury prone. He's in the last 4 years, he's missed like 8 games. Or no, he's missed like 11 games. 10 of them was this year with that foot. But he's played these other ones. It's just like
he's played through a lot of stuff.
Through a lot. It's hard to look at it like that.
I mean, I think we brought that up last week too. Like I think it was 16 when they like the great season 13-3. Like he had like 1 sack that year, and it was because he played like the whole season with one shoulder.
And I always tell this Kevin Burnett story. Kevin Burnett, who you played with him.
Yeah, crazy.
And he called me one time, and I was like kind of scared about it because he's got his own opinions and thoughts,
Yes, he does.
And because I called him injury prone. And Jerry Jones said one time, he was like, well, if we can keep Kevin Burnett out of the hospital, he said that in the draft room. But he goes, you said I was injury prone. I've only missed like 5 games in my career, which he was right. He also had surgery when it was time to make linebacker decisions in the offseason, draft, free agency. He was always hurt. So, yes, you can say I only missed so many games.
It's timing.
But timing of your injury, you're at a situation where you're like, well, we're not going to draft this linebacker. We have Kevin Burnett, who's got a cast on. You know what I mean? So, D-Law's sort of been that way because he's had some off-the-field injuries. And I mean, not off the field. I'm sorry. Off-season injuries. But
yeah, I mean, his whole contract thing revolved around a surgery.
Right.
Or if you remember, he kind of. I thought it was petty toward the team, but like I thought it was kind of genius. He was like, "Well, if you want me ready, then you need to sign me to this deal so I can have this surgery, and I ain't getting it until you give me the money." Which, again, not great for the team, but like that's just. I thought it was smart business.
All right, we're gonna play a game of multiple choice.
I do real. Okay. So we talked about this cutting. That's the thing. Like. I think it would be incredibly stupid if they cut Amari Cooper, but that's tangible savings. Like he saves you like $17 million if he's not on this team. DeMarcus hits your cap for 20 and saves you 8. Like I just don't even think it's.
But you also
if you cut him, you could June 1st him.
You could just do that in June 1st, and then you're saving 19.
True. But you can designate a guy a cut, and you could cut him March 17th and just designate it June 1.
You could do that with 2 guys.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think D-Law
one of them.
And Lyle could be the 2 options there. Just because Lyle saves you 1 if you cut him now, but if you designate him, you cut him, you save 10, and you have a replacement that is not the same.
Uh-oh.
What?
Say it. Speak your mind.
No, hold on. Let me finish.
I had a spasm.
Yeah, I was wondering what's wrong with your back. I said he has a replacement who is not the same, but I don't think there is a huge difference.
He's made out of steel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you think there's a huge difference between the 2?
Better than glass.
Facts. I think that you need Lyle. I think you need Lyle because I think he's a sure thing. Regardless of the stuff that's happened. I'm just saying, performance-wise, there's no question marks when he's out there performance-wise if he can do it. I think some of the question marks that you've had when other people have stepped up into that role is can they do it?
Yeah.
Right now, how effective will they be? Right? Can they actually do it? And I think you don't have that question mark when you're putting Lyle out there. Now, hey, Lyle, are you the same Lyle that you were before? Okay, well, if you're not, okay, then maybe let's talk about moving you over to left guard and putting you over there next to Tyron. You know what I'm saying? Like there's options there, but I don't think you have those same options when you're talking about some of these other guys that can step up into those roles. That's all I'm saying.
If he fully commits to that, if he fully commits to playing guard and doing that, then I'd be for that. Okay. But if he's like, well, whatever's best for the team. I'll show up and we'll see what happens. If he's not, and I don't know if he'd be that way because let's be honest. 2 years ago, he didn't show up in the best shape. He ended up getting hurt. He had a hip injury. He got surgery. Last year, he was in good shape. Then he was suspended 5 games, which might have been a reason why. I mean, there's a lot of things, with Lau. But let's go back to the defensive ends, and I'm gonna put this question here on the test.
Okay.
All right. What is the most likely scenario to happen regarding defensive ends? A, Gregory and Lawrence are on the team. B, Gregory only. C, Demarcus only. D, neither on the team.
B.
B is Randy Gregory only.
Yes.
Yeah, I
don't think there's a way to stand behind D-Law's current number and validate that he should be making that based upon his performance.
Yeah. And I think Jerry would rather keep Randy than anything. I mean, like he wants to keep Randy over any player. That's probably his top priority. If he was running the show, it starts with Randy.
I agree.
You know how many times we've talked, and I don't know if this is true or not, but Steven will say it or Jerry will say, "Oh, we haven't talked to the agent yet," and you're like, "What are you doing?"
Right.
They come out and say, like, "No, we talked to Randy."
It blew my mind at the senior. Yeah, like I always tell people, I'm like, those conversations don't usually start until the combine, and sometimes they don't start until like a couple days before free agency. Because again, it's like dating. Like you don't want to be the person that texts, or like God forbid you like double text. You don't want to be the one that's more invested. That's what some of these negotiations are like. It's like, well, I mean, they can call us, but we're not calling them. Get the hell out of here. But then they go to the Senior Bowl, and Jerry's like, "Yeah, I was with Randy's agent yesterday in January." That is unusual. That is very unusual.
So, we've been told that there's a.
Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I want to know it. I want to know what your multiple choice answer was.
I said B. I said the same thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, but what would be the next choice? Let's rank them.
After B, I say maybe this is blind optimism, but like there's like a little sliver of me that thinks that they both wind up here. Like if the team again, I don't think you can underestimate. I really do think this is a scenario where the team's history with the player could really make an impact. And I think Randy wants
discount type.
Yeah, like Randy wants to be here. The team wants him here. An amicable situation can be agreed upon where everybody's a little bit happy. And then I don't think Demarcus Lawrence would take a pay cut, but maybe the team just decides to bite the bullet and restructure him, which gives you the extra money without losing him.
Yeah. See, I would restructure Amari.
Same. But I think the Cowboys could solve so many of their problems if they just restructured Amari. Like it would give them X amount of cap space to play around with.
But why would he?
What I'm saying?
We're
talking restructures, not cuts.
For sure.
Players don't have a say in that.
No, instead of playing for $20 million, in all the year, and you just get $20 million in your pocket, and then it pushes it back a little bit. At some point, he's going to.
I disagree with you guys on the Randy and D-Law coming back together. I can't see that scenario.
So you see a D-Law by himself better than that?
No, I don't see D-Law on this team.
Well,
no, he said Randy only.
Randy
B was Randy only.
Or they're both gone.
Oh, they're both gone.
Oh, I got that.
The reason being is because I think Jerry Jones sits down with Coach McCarthy and Dan Quinn and says, Dan Quinn, can you have that same impact that you had this year without those guys?
And he says, he probably has another word in there, and then he says no.
And then you have to look at it and say, what did they provide that was so dominant? Take the emotions out of it. What did they provide that was so dominant? Did they have an Aaron Donald effect? Did they have a Von Miller effect?
Okay, but
I'm just saying.
I know, but I get annoyed when someone says Dak is an Aaron Rodgers, and then you're like, okay, who is? But next
no. I can take the names out of it. I'm just saying, like, what element did you miss when D-Law or Gregory wasn't there? I'm very black and white. Like, take the emotions out of it. What is it that they provided at that number that you couldn't get out of somebody else? If it wasn't effort.
Well, Randy Gregory was playing at a very high level before the calf injury, and when he had the calf injury, they lost games.
Yeah.
They couldn't get after Patrick Mahomes. They couldn't get after Derek Carr against the Raiders. But we'll say this: that was such a penalty fest game.
Yeah.
I would imagine what Randy would have done in that game because they like to throw flags on Randy.
True. Yeah. Which actually, it's funny. The numbers don't back it up at all. Like Randy finished with 6 sacks. I didn't realize Dorrance Armstrong had 5, but. And with all due respect to Dorrance Armstrong, no way. And what they have, Demarcus Lawrence is an incredibly well-polished and all-around sound end. Like, I'll put him up, the whole body of work, like playing the run, rushing the passer, impacting the quarterback. He does that as well as anybody.
For sure.
Like, he doesn't have, like, the freaky bend that the Von Millers do.
For sure.
Randy does,
Different
though.
style.
Randy does.
Yep.
And Micah Parsons does, too.
Yep.
And you need all of them to really have a terrifying pass rush.
I agree.
Donald gets all the credit. Leonard Floyd was a big part of that.
Yeah.
Obviously, Von Miller had a hell of an impact.
Of course.
You need 3 guys that can that scare you.
Agreed. And that's why I say that you need Randy back. That's why I stand on that and say you need Randy back. D-Law, I respect the heck out of D-Law, respect what he's done, but I think we all can agree he's not going to take a pay cut. Right?
I would assume so.
I would assume that he won't take a pay cut.
Not here.
Yeah, not here. And if he's unwilling to take a pay cut here, I don't see him on this roster. And reason being, because I think what he provides to this team, he provides the leadership. There's a whole lot of things, attributes. I'm not a big stat guy. I'm not. I don't give a doggone about stats because there's so many other plays that you affect.
Stats lie.
Yeah. So I think that he provides a lot of other attributes to this team aside from sacks. Okay. But what he does provide, what I see on film, I think you can get that production out of somebody who for half of the cost.
Here's the thing, and I think this is where I differ, is I just don't trust it. And I know as a GM, you've got to think more about the bigger picture. You got to think about the long-term health of your cap and your roster. But, like, we're all sitting here disappointed as hell about a 12-5 team that couldn't win a playoff game. It's hard for me to imagine that they're a better version of that team without Lawrence, because I do think edge rusher is a position I think it's a lot harder to find than you're giving it credit for right now, because like the guys that can do it as well as Lawrence won't be able to afford them on the open market. And unless you have like a top 10 draft pick, like guys that can rush the passer that well, that quickly, you don't find them in the draft.
I agree.
In year one, at least. Like maybe you luck out and find a third-round pick who becomes a stud. It won't be in 2022.
Yeah, I don't think that you need a complete dog at the DN position in this defense. And I'm very specific to saying this defense with Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn can get pressure on you as long as you have attributes that he knows how to utilize. If you're powerful, if you have speed, and he knows how to scheme it up, you're going to be effective holistically as a defense, not even as an individual. What impact does your attributes provide that he can throw into the mix and expose an offensive line? That's all you're looking for. Dan Quinn doesn't need a dominant guy like a D-Law. I almost can't even say dominant. He doesn't need a $20 million guy like D-Law that can't single-handedly just take over a game.
I can very much imagine a month from now or 2 months from now. I think you're right. Now that I'm listening to your argument, because I can imagine the Cowboys saying, you see what Dan got out of Micah as a 20% of the time pass rusher? Give us Micah and Randy and whatever we can add on the side of that, and we'll be fine.
Yep.
I don't know if I believe that. I mean, I certainly think it's possible, but I think that's a very like pie in the sky, drinking the Kool-Aid type of thing of like, hey, Micah got 13 sacks last year. Like, we just run it back and we don't need Lawrence. I can imagine that for sure.
Yeah, they won games, without D-Law. They weren't as successful without Gregory.
Absolutely.
They weren't really as successful without Amari. Especially the game that Amari and whatever the reason why Amari wasn't there, I get it.
Hey, we don't have to get into the COVID stuff, but I think that's a big part of the reason why Amari might not be here too. Just I think there's a dissatisfaction there. I mean, Jerry Jones did not bother hiding his disappointment that Amari was unavailable for 2 weeks.
I'm just going to ignore that because I think that would be crazy. So I'm just going to assume that. I think you're right. I don't want to believe that.
I don't I'm not if they move on from Amari, I'm not looking forward to doing radio and podcasts afterward because I'm not going to have anything nice to say.
Right. All right, let's go to break. Maybe we'll have some nice things to say when we come back. We got a lot more questions I want to ask these guys. Also, I'm going to ask them about their sneaky draft need, and also maybe a player to watch in the draft, even though we're just going to pole vault right over free agency here. We're going to be right back here for the final segment of the break.
Hi, I'm Clint Tillison with...
And I'm Jay Novacek, and we're both with...
United Ag and Turf, the official tractor provider of the Dallas Cowboys.
So, if you need a tractor to bale some hay, a mower to cut some grass, or a gator to get some chores done...
Get a John Deere at United Ag and Turf.
And then, let's get to work.
Hey, Jay, that's my line.
Well, not today.
Get to work with a John Deere tractor package that's just right for you and your budget. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. Where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day. Where we are all defined by one single thing, the star. Where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys and to support the quest of living life the Cowboys way.
Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
At AT&T, everyone, new and existing customers, get our best deals on every smartphone. Why? Because you deserve it. For turning your living room into your office and your gym. For teaching Grandma how to video call. And teaching her again.
It's the button on your left, Nana. Okay, your other left.
It's not complicated. Everyone deserves something new. So AT&T is giving everyone, new and existing customers, our best deals with every unlimited plan on every smartphone, even the latest ones.
AT&T may temporarily slow data speeds if the network is busy. Restrictions and exceptions may apply.
New Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. You deserve it.
I do deserve that.
You deserve decadent flavor without sugar. And a day at the beach without sand getting everywhere. And a relaxing bath that your children don't interrupt.
I deserve all that?
It's really just a visual metaphor for Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. Everything you want, nothing you don't.
A visual metaphor on the radio. I do deserve that.
Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. The zero you deserve is finally here.
Back to the break.
Discount days are back. Join Dallas Cowboys United, presented by Globe Life, the official fan club of the Dallas Cowboys, to receive up to 30% off Pro Shop in-store purchases from February 24th to 27th. Visit united.dallascowboys.com today.
I think you could be an auctioneer.
I don't think so. That's as fast as it gets right there. That's it. And only because I want to hurry up and...
I watch Storage Wars.
Do you really?
Oh, I love it.
I think I met the lady, one of the people that was on that. That was back before COVID, which feels like a lifetime ago. But
I'm just surprised that wasn't a WrestleMania read. Because there's always...
I want to go.
It's coming up, man.
I want to go.
Okay.
And the PBR is coming up. I gotta get tickets to both of those.
Bull riding guy?
Oh,
no, I mean,
oh yes,
I respect it,
hey,
but I'm not interested.
The last time when I was on the show, we did have a wrestling. I was on his show, and they had a wrestling read, and then that got down to story time that this guy actually tried out as a wrestler, right?
That happened.
WWE.
Yep, WWE.
Dude, I can see that. You would have been. Why they didn't want you? You would have been.
They offered me. It wasn't enough.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I mean, that is a hard life.
It is.
Being on the road like 300 days a year.
It is. That's rough. I couldn't be away from my family.
And also like just destroying your body.
Just beat down.
You would be so good in the. I don't know what they're called. I apologize. Just the interviews, just the one-on-one.
Yeah.
What are they called? You know, where they
the promos?
Promos.
Yeah. Oh, Isaiah would be a promo god.
Okay, heel though, or good guy?
I don't know. They always make you turn. They always make you play both. I don't think there's anybody who's went through their entire career just being a good guy. They always make you play both sides.
Isaiah would be a heel who thinks he's a face. Like Isaiah thinks he's the good guy and the voice of reason, but the crowd hates him or whatever. Yeah. Kind of like old school Chris Jericho a little bit.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
But see,
now Chris Jericho's their competition.
I like the guys that are the other way. The guys that are kind of like bad guys, but because of their attitude, you just like them.
Respect them.
Like the Macho Man was sort of that way.
I mean, The Rock is the pinnacle of that. Like his whole thing was
Cold.
A little bit.
I love Stone Cold. Stone Cold is just
your
straight Texan.
Favorite wrestler of all time?
Oh yeah, Stone Cold.
Stone Cold. And yours is
I refuse to separate Stone Cold and The Rock. I love them both.
Yeah.
That's my childhood. Attitude Era forever.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about. I teed this up about sneaky need position. Like what? And I know what it is for me. I'll just start it because if you got Micah Parsons rushing the passer more, and Leighton Vander Esch did not have a great year, and he's a free agent, and Gabriel Cox is coming off an injury, and Luke Gifford is even in this conversation, that makes me think linebacker is a pretty big need again.
You need 2 linebackers.
So that's big.
I think from pure, and this always changes because people are going to make fun, and the Cowboys don't spend money, but they're gonna sign 6 or 7 guys. They do it every year, and so it'll change. But right now, like purely from a numbers standpoint, I think linebackers like a top 3 need on this roster. They just don't have any. Neal and Leighton aren't under contract. Gifford and Francis Bernard have done. I mean, they're who they are, and then Gabriel Cox. I have high hopes for what he can be, but he's coming off an ACL.
Yeah.
So,
you see a lot of draft, mocks and stuff like that, and I've seen the linebacker from Georgia,
Nakobe Dean,
who's undersized a little bit.
He is undersized, but he's a heat-seeking missile. I mean, he sees it and goes.
I don't know much about college.
No.
He's 6 flat, but is going to run a great 40 and knows where the ball's going.
How heavy is he?
I mean, he I don't know, 220, 230. Like, he's a very 2022 type of linebacker.
I'm telling you, if the guy is there, and it's going to be close, but I'll take the guy that played in front of him.
Jordan Davis.
Yeah. Now I understand that he's kind of he's a big defensive lineman, which I thought Jordan Davis should have had some Heisman talk last year. I just thought that defense was so good, and somebody was starring on it. I guess Nakobe Dean was helping too.
Honestly, that Georgia defense, I would, off the top of my head, 8 of the 11 are going to get drafted probably.
What's Jordan Davis's number? Dimension? What is it?
6'6", like 350.
That's the big dude, right?
The huge dude.
Take a run.
Yeah.
I like that now. Oh yeah, give me him all day long.
And I get the argument. I think I heard some of it with Broadus on the draft show, and we don't need to talk draft show, which. We happens twice a week, but there's some talk about do you draft a 2-down player right there? But which 2 downs are we talking about? First and second? Because if he can do his job and get off the field and let Micah Parsons and Randy and whoever else get after it, then I'm okay with it.
Where's he projected?
Right there. It's 22.
This is a weird draft. Like the top of it is a very beauty is in the eye of the beholder sort of draft.
Got you. Whatever you need.
I've seen him projected anywhere from top 20 to in the 40s. Like he could be a 2nd round pick, or he could not be there when the Cowboys pick. Like it's hard to tell.
I think I've seen some mocks and he's like 22, 23, like right.
I've seen his highlights
for sure. Like that's I mean, he's a hell of a player.
His effort, his size, his capabilities, and his effort. Again, it's so much of what they're going to add defensively for this team going forward in the draft or even in free agency is going to be around your character and your effort. Right. That's Dan. I've said it before when Dan Quinn was using his name even came up. I told the guys on Talking Cowboys, I said it's going to be the whole character of this team is about to be changed. Right, everything about it.
Let's go into that a little bit. You said character. Talking about off the field issues?
I'm talking about both. I'm talking about like you can't expect me to go hard every play type of guys.
Okay.
Yeah,
you're talking that. You're not talking about a guy that had some issues in college and from being young and immature.
No.
Okay, because that happened. And that pushed him down 12 spots. Because I guarantee you, if it went just off of talent, Micah Parsons would have been higher than that.
No. I think in bringing up that cool character in terms of like off the field stuff, I think that you'll probably see some free agents come in here that might have had some of that in their past too.
Well, you always have. That's always been Jerry.
I'm talking about guys that have taken like a year off. Don't be surprised to see some guys.
Back. Now I'm intrigued. I got to go fish around for guys who sat out for the last year. Interesting, Isaiah.
My mind's not there. Okay, sneaky need. I said linebacker, and maybe it's not that sneaky. I mean, we just talked about
this is boring. I don't think this team has a sneaky need. Like all of
they're glaring.
You can look. I mean, linebacker speaks for itself. Receiver speaks for itself. Offensive line, receiver speaks for itself because they just don't have any under contract.
Yeah,
especially if they get rid of Amari. Offensive line was the reason, for the most part, why they fell apart in the second half of the season. So everybody knows about that. They don't have any safeties on the roster. So if I'm looking for a sneaky need, probably edge, because even if he does it more, I don't want Micah to play end exclusively. I'm sorry if I have to stand alone on that hill.
Nope, I'm not. You're not.
I want some versatility. So even if he does it more, I don't want him there all the time.
Agreed. And
if they move on from Demarcus, Dorrance Armstrong is a free agent. Terrell Basham's still here. He was fine. And Chauncey Golston, he was fine as a rookie. But if Demarcus isn't on this team, I think end is something that you could potentially address as quickly as the first round of the draft.
Are you paying for to bring your punter back?
Yes, Anger.
Yeah, yes, I am. It's
huge.
I can't imagine that the price would be crazy even after the season that he
I don't
had.
think it'd be crazy, and I think based off talking to him, I think if there's a discount there, I think he would rather play here. He understands.
He made it very clear how much he wants to play for Bones.
Yeah,
so
because he takes care of him. We talked about it many times.
And
I
played with Anger. I used to block for Anger when I was in Jacksonville.
Really?
Yeah, good dude.
Drafted ahead of Russell Wilson. I'm glad he made he's a good player. I'm glad that maybe he can get out from under that trivia fact, because that's all anybody ever wants to talk about when they bring him up.
He was drafted in what, third round?
Yeah, Jags drafted him in the third, like a few spots ahead of Russ.
So I mean, that's
sucks.
But yeah,
He's chilling. He's gonna have a 37-year career.
Yeah,
he'll be okay.
Fine. He'll be fine.
Okay, this wasn't on my list, but not drafting a punter, but drafting a kicker has been talked about a lot.
I would like to re-sign Anger because I don't want to spend draft picks on both positions, and I want to draft a kicker. I would love to draft a kicker.
Wow.
What?
Sorry?
I looked this up the other day.
Talk about saving some money and maybe feeling more confident when your kicker takes the field.
Not all kickers that are drafted have been good, but most of them have been. Like they there's a reason why they draft. I went and looked this up in the last 5 or 6 years, and I know there's that Florida State kicker Aguayo that didn't work out. Most of them are good.
I firmly believe he had no chance the minute the Bucs traded up into the second round to get him.
Yeah.
It's such a mental position, and those types of expectations and that type of hype, I just think he crumbled under it.
Yeah.
I think if they draft him in the 6th round like a normal team, I bet he would have been fine. He's like, yeah, I'm a 6th round pick. Like, I'm a good kicker, but I'm still a kicker.
So you don't pick a kicker in your 2nd round of your fantasy?
No. I would not. Even there's at least 2 really great kickers in this class. Cameron Dicker out of Texas and Cade York out of LSU. They're both training here in Frisco. I would draft either one of them starting in the 5th round. I'd be A-okay with that.
Yeah. I mean, Cade York hit that 50-something yard field goal and couldn't even see the goalpost.
Yep.
Right?
Oh, what a night. Yeah. That was the shoe game.
Oh, yeah. Florida threw the shoe. That's right. Okay. Did you have a sneaky need? Or
to his point, it's a decent point. There's nothing sneaky. I think that you have to address your interior offensive line. I think you have to address that. I think you have to address linebacker, and I think you have to, if Urban's not coming back, you have to address your interior defensive line.
Yeah,
I hadn't even thought about Brent Urban in a while.
I think they're.
They missed him.
I think they missed him. Yeah, he was a good. I would love to have him back. He had tricep surgery in December.
Yep.
I don't know what the recovery is on that. I know. Yeah, that's a tough position.
He got long arms too.
It's a tough position to have to do something to your arm for sure.
And because this came out yesterday with where the window is started with the franchise tag, is there anybody on this team that you would franchise? That you would just say, all right, I got to have them on the team at this premium price.
If Anger,
that's about $5 million. I don't know.
Maybe not them.
If they can't get,
I think that's right.
I would tag Randy. Obviously, they got work. Yeah. What, man?
That's a lot of money, man.
You need edge rushers. The man can run the hula hoop like parallel to the ground. You don't just find that on the street.
Okay. Here's the thing about that. I know we're about to go here before Chris is in my ear. He's probably telling me wrap it up.
You're good.
But real quick, is he okay? Well, what is the number for? Let's just say Randy. Is it?
I think it's 16.
Okay, let's just say it is.
I'll pull it up. You talk and I'll pull it up.
Because the thing is the minute that you tag him, and you don't want him to play at $16 million a year.
Ooh,
is it 20?
That's what I was thinking.
20.1.
That's what I was saying.
Okay.
It's the same as D-Law.
Tag is 16.
Okay, so let's say that they tag him just so they can give themselves more time. But that is the number from then on. That is the agent's like, all right, if you want a 4-year deal, it's 80. 5, it's 100. Because you just tagged him at $20 million, so that's the average. I've never seen a player get tagged and then sign for less than that. Doesn't happen.
I agree.
So be careful.
Too much.
Doing Dalton Schultz, it's like 11. Careful with that. What are we doing here? Kicking? Are you kicking a guy?
Punter.
Punter?
Yeah, maybe. And I've seen people kick the idea of tagging Dalton because it's quote unquote affordable, at least as far as I love the idea that just handing somebody $11 million guaranteed is seen as affordable, but it is a much smaller number than a lot of the other ones. Although I'm not trying to start an argument with Beamer, but everything I'm seeing has the DN tag at 17.5, which is still a lot of money, but a little bit less than 20.
I should have asked this earlier, but if Schultz is tagged or here, is Jarwin, y'all letting him go? You save a little bit, $3 or $4 million, something like that.
How much? Haven't you given him a lot of money already?
They gave him 24.
Yeah,
he's staying. Figure it out.
Wow!
Figure it out, Jarwin.
Save some money here.
Figure it out, Jarwin.
It sucks because they're besties. They've been here together. Sure. They're great friends, but from a team building standpoint, I'm just not sure why they both need to be here, especially if they're both expensive players. So, and maybe this time of year is fun because their game plan could be so we're sitting, we're all in agreement. Amari's not going anywhere.
Right.
We're gonna do this, that, and the other, and they're like, we're gonna cut Amari. We're gonna get something done with Schultz. Like Schultz is a big part of this in our book.
Yeah,
and I'm just So who knows? I keep saying it. I think the next 5 weeks are gonna be
crazy,
a little chaotic.
Oh yeah. All right, I appreciate it. Isaiah, thanks for filling in. You did a great job.
Yeah, thanks, man.
All right, fun, you guys.
We'll see you next time. Hopefully, we'll have our full crew. But if not, we'll definitely find some more replacements like we did. Next time is.
I'm gonna say you'll need a replacement next week.
Replacements.
That's right.
I'll be out of town.
That's right. For the combine.
Yes, sir.
So we'll probably be checking in.
Yeah, give me a call.
Yeah, we definitely will. All right, because your live view won't be working, and we'll have to figure it all out.
You are right.
Me of all people talking about tech savvy. It's funny. All right, for David Hellman, Isaiah Stanback, I'm Nick Eaton. We'll see you next time. Thanks, Chris, for keeping us on the air. See you.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?